2 weeks ago, some friends of mine on Facebook were lamenting the fact that they only made it halfway across the country before they had to get stuck in the Chicago airport, which, by the way, is a thing that happens. They were going to miss their important party that they were going to, which was 2 days later on the East Coast. There was absolutely no way that they could possibly make it. And they were turning around and flying all the way back to LA. When you're a consultant, that's not the way that you attack the travel world. My craziest story of 2018 was coming up against a situation that looked truly impossible and figuring out every single way that I could make it happen. It was a fated night in Dallas in September. And I needed to get that evening from Dallas to New York City. I had an event the whole day in Dallas. And of course, at about 5 p.m., right as the event was ending, a thunderstorm rolled in. And initially it seemed to be just a little thunderstorm, but then planes that were coming in had gotten diverted and there was just a whole mess in the entire system. And for 5 hours, they pushed the flight and pushed the flight and pushed the flight and didn't cancel it. And finally, at about 10 p.m., they canceled my flight. It was such a disheartening situation. So I was sitting there at about 10 p.m. The next morning at 9 a.m., I had another event in New York and I had to teach all day long. And there is no way that you can drive from Dallas to New York. At one point, my colleague looked at me and said, hey, should we write to our people, our contacts for tomorrow and let them know that we're not gonna be able to make it, or maybe we can get an early flight out, but we're gonna only make it at X time. I looked at him with a look of disbelief. Like, what are you talking about? There is no way that we have exhausted all of our efforts right now. What we did was we went and we stood in front of the board of all of the flights. There are 2 airports in Dallas. We could have gone to the other airport, but we just figured better to stay at the airport. We're already through security. Let's just figure out any flight that we could get out on. And so we looked at any flight that was going anywhere within 4 to 5 hours of New York City. We went to the front desk and got somebody to rebook me on a flight to Baltimore. We left on the flight to Baltimore at about 11:30. We landed very late and we basically landed almost right at 3 o'clock. There were almost no services at the airport and I made a run for the only way that I could think of to get to New York that morning, which was the train. So I took a cab from the airport to the train and took the 3:30 a.m. train from Baltimore all the way to New York. I was really excited about this and I passed out completely on the train, set my alarm for when the train was supposed to land in New York, minus about a half an hour, so I would make sure that I wouldn't miss it. And at the time that my alarm went off, I wake up to announcements coming over that the tunnel into New York has been shut down. And there were maintenance issues on the Amtrak lines. There was no way that we could actually get into the city. So here I was, stranded in Newark and not able to get into the city. And at this point, I was so tired and so delirious that the only thing I knew that I needed was a shower. So I figured out that the quickest way to get me to the downtown area of the city where a couple of hotels were was just to take a PATH train. So I took a PATH train into the city. I called the hotel that we had canceled from the night before because we weren't going to make it into the city and asked them if they had a spa. And I was able to get into the hotel, take a shower, and make it to my event by 8:45. So with basically 2 hours of sleep on the train only and a freshening up of a shower, but a tremendously long travel day, we did make it from Dallas to New York. It was the craziest travel story of the year, but it reminded me that consultants are really in the top 1% of the world in terms of travelers and their ability to get from one place to another. We're also slightly insane. I mean, taking that trip was just totally nuts. If you have a great travel story from 2018, I would love to hear it. And if you ever have questions about how to work the travel system and you want to talk about those, then we'd love to chatter about that too. So please comment on this video, subscribe to our channel, or make sure that you reach out to us on social or at managementconsulted.com.